Hello, YouTube. I'm Casey. This is my good friend Lazarus, and this is my new channel, Nerds Doing Nerdy Things. And today, I'm going to start kind of a new series, one that I really want to do as much as possible, called Talking Nerdy. And today, we're going to talk about Arrow and Flash. Um, CW series, they really picked off a few years ago, and with Flash getting even just as much success when Arrow kind of brought him from their winter finale. I've been hooked ever since. And quick fair warning: there will be spoiler alerts for spoilers and stuff for all of like Arrow and Flash because we'll probably bring up a lot of older stuff and just current stuff because what we're specifically talking about is what's happened so far on season 2 of Flash and season 4 of Arrow, and then what kind of our predictions um, for upcoming episodes and whatnot in the later half of these shows. We're gonna start with Arrow first. We kind of have a little less to talk about. But my first thing is who is in the grave, and in other words, who do you think is going to die this season? Now, the last episode, the winter finale, left off kind of making us thinking it was Felicity, with after him finally saving them from Damien Dark with the help of Malcolm Merlin, um, in his Green Arrow costume. He was able to save Felicity and even called Dark out on being the menace of the town and everything behind all of the attacks of like recent events and everything. So who do you think is in the grave?
I definitely agree with you. I think that the writers want you to think it's Felicity. Everything they're leading up to really shows like, yeah, Felicity is going to die, and that's why Oliver wants to kill Damien so bad. But I think that would be too easy to do, and just for especially how they're showing it so much, I think they're not going to do Felicity.
Yeah,
I think it'd be more plausible, like if they kill off Thea, because Thea's not an actual character from the comics. It's a character they created, and plausibly they don't see her character going anywhere, or they just feel like it's time for her to be done, or it maybe it's an actor choice, and she is choosing that she wants to be done with the show.
right. Which I think is what happened to Roy. I do not know the actor's name, but the one that played Roy Harper, um, I'm pretty sure that was the reason he got more or less like kind of shrugged off last season was because I think he had other work to do. And I agree. I think it's Thea. Um, Now, like quick, just kind of warning: me and Lazarus have not read all of the comics, so if we
No.
say something that might be false or whatever, don't get too angry. I do know
Yeah.
Thea's not in the comics, which is probably the biggest reason I think it's going to be her.
Right.
Um, Now, a few of the other people I've talked to actually don't like Thea. They think she's a very annoying character, and they really hope it's Thea. I for one actually enjoy her character, and um, I think she's fun. I like the whole arc with her being reborn from the Lazarus pit and everything. And I think I brought it up to you a few weeks ago the idea of maybe the writers kind of were like, oh crap, we don't know how to fix Thea. Let's just kill her.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Um, Anything else on that? The
I
grave.
think like plausibly, what if it's John Diggle's brother that is killed by Damien Dark? I know. I think that would just be like a very big plot twist because especially how emotional you see Oliver getting over whoever's at the grave and that. But it struck through my mind today. I'm just like, what if it is John Diggle's brother? Just
Yeah. Let's see. I think. Well, it could be one of those things they're trying to throw us off by making it Oliver there, because I think if it was his brother, if it was Andy, John would have been at the grave. But at the same
right.
time, knowing John Diggle, he's a man of action, and so maybe that's
Yeah.
the reason he's not at the grave is because he can't mourn. He's too angry and he goes off and everything
I
else. Bringing up another
think
character who's not in the comics, John Diggle isn't. I think they're adding him in and stuff, but a thought came through my mind maybe if it's John Diggle, but I think he's an interesting enough character. They're not gonna, you know,
well, I thought about that too, but I think he's too. I think he's a popular character right now, and I think they can't kill him off really.
yeah,
But I think also another reason why you might not see John Diggle at the grave is because right now, like in the episodes, he's not happy with his brother whatsoever. He just wants to be done with him.
Right, right.
And
It's
Oliver's
John
the one
trying to
who's
push
trying to
him
keep,
to, or
yeah,
Oliver trying to, yeah.
keep him the connection, the brother connection there, and have faith and hope that he'll turn around. So,
Right.
yeah.
Uh, well, bring up Roy again. I believe it was revealed before this season started, or soon after it did, that Roy Harper will be making a return this season. Whether a cameo or an appearance, we're not sure. But I have a feeling um, that it's going to be Thea's death that brings Roy back and picking back up that mantle of Arsenal. So, what are your thoughts on Roy Harper's return?
I like when I first heard of like Roy was returning, I was really happy to hear that because I love Roy's character and his like portrayal of Arsenal, which is really speedy slash Red Arrow.
Hmm.
And I thought like one reason that would give him a good reason to come back in Arrow is that Thea died and he heard of that and that's why he's like, oh, I'm coming back either to help kill Damien Dark or I'm coming back because she died.
Right.
But like other than that, I just was trying to think like what other reasons would Roy come back because they did that whole thing where they killed him, so it made it look like he died, so he could live free.
Right, and live his own life.
Charges.
So, I
Right,
mean, it'd have to be a huge reason for him to come back, especially, like a permanent situation.
right, and that's what I was thinking. Like, what if they introduced like one of the villains from the comics, or they introduced a new villain by Roy? Because like whichever city, wherever Roy is living now, what if he goes to Oliver's city and Roy comes to warn Oliver, like, hey, this is what you're up against. Who's coming? And
Right.
that's something like that.
Yeah. Well, I know when one of the last episodes Roy was in, Thea went to give him back the Arsenal outfit. To be like, hey, maybe you can make some good here. Nobody knows who you are, blah, blah, blah. But he ended up giving it back, saying, no, you help your brother and everything. So I kind of wonder if maybe Roy uh, maybe regrets that decision, and
Right,
maybe even took up a mantle of his own while he was away. But they haven't given us any kind of information yet. So
right. Well, like you saying that, like he gave her like the suit back, and like you help your brother, and that maybe he'll feel responsible if she dies. Like it's his fault
right,
that she
right.
died
That's
because he
another
told her.
right, right. That's an interesting. I didn't think of that, but that would make sense too. Now that we think about that. Uh,
Yeah,
speaking of bringing people back, though, my last question about Arrow is Constantine. Constantine didn't do as well as I guess NBC hoped, and so they had to cancel it. And
right,
everywhere I've looked, it's not getting a second season. But he was able to make a cameo on Arrow as Constantine. They even got the actor Matt Ryan to come in and play him. Um, I personally think he did an excellent job. And for anyone who have watched the episode and didn't realize it, when he asked for the peacock feather and scratched his back with it, it was a kind of screw you to NBC because their symbol is the peacock fan tail, which I just thought was very, very, very good and definitely something John Constantine esque. Um, but my question, everyone, the biggest thing, I had friends um, when they revealed Constantine was going to be on Arrow all week. Hashtag save Constantine. Hashtag Arrow save Constantine. Do you think there's a possibility of someone picking him back up, whether it's NBC kind of going, oh, okay, we made a mistake, let's bring him back, or even CW being like, all right, that's fine. I guess this is our niche. DC heroes, let's do this.
right. Well, definitely like seeing like CW's like flashback to how Oliver met Constantine to
Mm-hmm.
his last introduction and was really well done. I think it was like when you first saw him, like, oh yeah, it's like seeing an old friend again. When if you watch like previously watched the Constantine show on NBC, I
Yeah.
think CW would do a really well job of doing Constantine. Like just their portrayal in Arrow, I think they could do a really good job. But I'm not against NBC taking Constantine back up. I think either
Yeah.
way it would be nice to have him back,
Yeah.
and I'm all for it.
I don't watch too many other NBC shows besides Flash and Arrow, but I mean, obviously the tones of the two shows are different. Arrow is very more Batman esque. It's darker. It's kind of grittier, whereas Flash is more carefree and kind of
Right.
just more happy go lucky, but comedic, I
Yeah.
guess. Granted, Felicity brings a beautiful light to Arrow and kind of breaks up the dark paces and everything. Um,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
I was a big NBC show I watch is Grimm, and they do a really good job
Uh,
of the dark and
yeah.
supernatural. And when I heard NBC was going to pick up Constant or do Constantine originally, I was like, oh man, I love Grimm, and Constantine is kind of has that niche in it with the supernatural and magic and everything, and I think they could do really well. But so honestly, I don't care who picks it up as long as they pick it up and they actually stick with it. I just would love to see Constantine pick back up, and I definitely think Matt Ryan is an excellent pick for him, and hopefully whoever picks it up can get him to continue the project.
Yeah. Great.
Do you have any other thoughts or ideas on Arrow before we move on to Flash?
That's pretty much for it for Arrow. Now I have a little more on Flash.
Yeah, I know we've talked about um, a, a big opinion I've heard for Arrow season one was that it was kind of shaky and it definitely the writing wasn't great and it just didn't really
Right.
hold up, but it held up enough and they definitely picked it up in later seasons. When we were talking, Flash did so well in the first season, in my opinion. I was talking to another friend who's a big guy in the comics, and I said, "Hey, man, you know that the Flashpoint idea, like the Earth One and Earth Two, and all these other different things Flash has tackled over the years. Do you
Right.
think we can see some of that? Because I think they're just the coolest ideas of Flash." And he's like, "No, man, they got to play it safe. They can't do anything that crazy in season one, and then halfway through the season, they were right there doing the time travel and everything else, and
Right.
it was fantastic." So last episode of Flash ended with um, um, the gosh, I can't remember his name. The one who could control weather.
Yeah.
He broke Mark Hamill's Trickster out, as well as Snart, and got their help. But Snart, of course, was like, I can't do that.
Mm.
As much as he doesn't like the Flash helped him save his sister in the few
Right.
episodes before that, and so he went to his house and warned him. Um, and then at the end, Patty, even though Flash was able to defeat defeat him, Patty came up and was ready to just end his life and get her revenge. But it was as the Flash that Barry was able to kind of convince her not to take that path, and that was something that she couldn't come back from. And
Right.
that kind of really brought everything full circle with the past few episodes of whenever Patty needed to tell someone something or she had a just struggle, she wasn't able to tell Barry, but she was able to tell Flash. And
Right.
so now I know in the previews it shows Barry going, I think it's time to tell Patty that I'm the Flash. Um, so do you think he should tell Patty he's the Flash with everything that's been going on? And if he does, how do you think she'll react?
I think like with everything that's happened and like if he's gonna take their relationship seriously as dating wise and that, I think he should definitely tell her that he is the Flash. But how she'll take that, I don't know, because if you look at it, like so many people, I mean, it's not a big list, but a lot of people know that Barry Allen is the Flash.
Yeah,
And you get a couple episodes before that you have Dr. Light, and he tells his ex-girlfriend that he's Barry Allen, that he's the Flash before he tells his current girlfriend.
right,
So I think if she gets like wind of that, like if how many people already know he's the Flash and how he tells people and how people find out, and basically he kept that from her when he could have told her, I don't think she'd be too thrilled about it. But also watching the trailer for the upcoming episode of Flash, it looks like Zoom is actually going to kidnap Patty. So I wonder if he also tells her that, yeah, I'm the Flash, if that's, and I got you kidnapped by Zoom to threaten me, and
right.
that she's not going to be happy about that either.
Yeah. Um, Patty is, I definitely think a strong character so far. Um, the chemistry between her and Barry is very, very strong. I was sold from it as soon as they really introduced her character. I was like, all right, those two have to hook up. They work really well together.
Oh, yeah,
But I definitely think now that she's kind of stepped away from the whole thing that happened with her father when he was killed, and she was able to take that step back and not go down the path of murder and revenge. Now that she's stepped back from that and she maybe doesn't have as much clouding her head and judgment on the whole metahuman prospect, hopefully that will give her just a better, more logical stance on Barry being the Flash. I know one thing I probably had the most trouble with season one was Iris and
Oh yeah,
just her over dramatic reaction to everything that went on. Um,
yeah,
she was just very. There were times where it was just like you're not looking at this at all in a logical way. And granted, that's part of being human is that you are emotional, but I felt that she was just too emotional, and they definitely fixed that with the whole aspect of Wally West um, coming into the picture and her mom coming back.
right.
She was very calm and really thought about every single thing that she did before deciding to push her mom away.
Right.
Uh, so, um, yeah, with that, I think the writers have stepped up with just making characters a little more rational and realistic. Um, so with that, yeah, I don't see why telling Patty would be bad, but at the same time, with so much going on with Zoom, like you said, with him kidnapping her, it might not be the best time. So I
Yeah.
guess we'll just have to wait and see. Um,
Yeah.
Speaking of Zoom, I think everyone I've talked to kind of had different thoughts on it, but who do you think Zoom is?
I think like it would be. I know the writers are trying to be different than just going straight from the comics. So in reality, since it's Earth 2, it should be Earbot Thong. Basically, he should be Zoom,
Right,
but they haven't like let on to it. They haven't like, yeah, that's who Zoom is. And I think like that Earth 2 Harrison Wells, I think he knows who Zoom is. So my
right,
theory is, one theory is, I'm like, what if it's Earth 2's Barry Allen? Because that would just be like a very interesting take on it, and it would be different.
right. Um, I talked to the friend that said he didn't think the Flashpoint stuff was going to happen. He thought it would have been since he did know that we're going to do something different. His idea was it was going to be Earth Two Wally West, and that was a way that we could have different or kind of a introduction to Wally West without bringing in the actual character. But now that they've actually brought in Wally West at the very end, and he kind of showed up at their door during the Christmas party. I it was definitely my thought that it'd be Barry Allen. I think it'd be fun to see maybe the actor eventually when he takes off the mask kind of tackle that dark side and
Yeah.
really show that uh, anything can be possible on the other Earths. I'm trying to remember the quote, but it was like the DC universe kind of. I think it was Lex Luthor describing the multiverse, and he was saying
Yeah.
there are a number of infinite universes, and besides one or two small miscellaneous actions and things around time, they're almost the exact same. Um, Now, in the Flashpoint movie, I believe it was, when it was Bruce Wayne that died, his
Yes.
parents took up the mantle of Batman and Joker.
Right.
And then I believe it was you pointed out that in the Earth 2 segment of Flash, they mentioned that uh, millionaire Robert Queen was rescued from the island and that
Right.
it was, or he revealed himself to be the Arrow, and so the
Right. Right.
idea was it was Oliver who died on the boat and his father who took up the mantle of Green Arrow,
Yeah.
um, just like that. And so I think that would be an interesting. Well, actually, going on that prospect, it might even be his father.
Well, if you remember, like that time I was talking to you before about that, it's just like joking around, but like, what if Soom's actually Barry's mother? Like,
Yeah,
how that would turn out, how that would be.
that would actually be that would definitely be dark.
That would be
Because he would
dark.
have to physically kill his mother again because he had to
Right.
let her die
Yeah.
in season two or season one. I mean,
I highly doubt they're gonna do that, but that would be so funny if that it turns out like, yeah,
yeah,
I'm Barry Allen's mother on Earth too. That's
yeah.
how it turned out.
I mean, definitely they're leading us on to that it's a guy, but I mean, why
Well,
not?
yeah, but I think
Why
that's
not?
why it was that big a twist that they did that.
Right. Um, Now going back to Wally, um, uh, from my understanding in the comics, he's a very fun loving and just another
Yeah.
jokester. like
Yeah.
most of the Flashes are. Now we haven't really seen much of his character. All we've seen is him come up to the door and say, "Hey, I'm Wally West. I'm your son."
Right.
But how do you think they're gonna kind of take on and tackle Wally West's character and personality in the show? And then how do you think he's gonna actually get his powers, or do you even think it'll happen this season? Will it be something that they tackle in season three?
I think definitely like when I heard about Wally West Night, if you remember the old Justice League cartoon, that Flash was the Wally West Flash, and
Right,
I just love that. I love that and I love the Wally West Flash, and I think that his personality, like in the series, like you just see, like in this last episode, you see like yeah, I'm Wally West, so it's like kind of a serious thing because he's first seeing his sister and his father for the first time, so it's like a serious moment, but like you get a little glimpse of him in the trailer for the upcoming Flash episode. You see a little more of him. Like I can't remember what he says, but I think if he were to get his powers this season, and that I think he would be like a carefree, fun-loving, lighthearted, like more jokes than Barry Allen does, in that, in the sense of having his powers, and that he might take more risk being new at it, and that's like how we see like development in like in the seasons of Arrow, how Oliver, came to the point where he could actually have a sidekick, like have Speedy. I think we're gonna get it to the point in Flash where Barry's ready to mentor his own sidekick,
right.
like Wally West. So,
I think I brought it up last time we talked. I definitely think that he has to face Zoom and be able to defeat Zoom before he would be
right,
ready to take on a an apprentice. Um, with Zoom and everything going on. Another thing that happened at the end of the winter finale was Wells was actually coerced by Zoom, or threatened by Zoom to help him make Barry faster so that he could kill him and take his speed, and he agreed. Um, I really hope that Wells doesn't do that. I don't want to see another Wells that's just a bad guy or a weakling. Like, he's supposed to be one of, if not the smartest people, within the Flash's like comics and stuff, and in the DC universe. And I really hope that he steps up and eventually tells Barry, "Hey, Zoom thinks I'm helping him, but we need to get faster than even he is, so we can defeat him and save my daughter. Because I'm not gonna step by and let him kill anymore." Um,
right.
do you think that's something the writers are going to try and tackle, or do you think they're just gonna kind of make him the brush off character again?
I would hate if they did that. I don't want him to be like, oh, we're gonna do like Wells is really evil again and do that whole bit again, because really the Wells we got in season one was not really Harrison
Right,
Wells. That was the reverse Flash. So I would love it if he's just like what you said. He's just saying he agrees to the Zoom because he thinks if he doesn't, oh, if you don't agree to this, I'm just going to kill your daughter and that. So he's just agreeing to help Zoom get Barry faster, and then he's going to help him get his powers,
right,
and he's just gonna turn it on him and tell like Barry what's going on, and they're gonna use that against him because he's gonna think he's gonna have an upper hand.
right. And I was thinking like that's probably the worst thing Zoom could have done was to kind of give him time. Because I think really with Wells, just his need to save his daughter and his genius and Barry's want to help people and their like push to want to fight Zoom and get it all done with. Like, if you give them time, they're eventually going to find a way to defeat Zoom.
Right.
So hopefully, I know another thing I brought up before you in the past was I would actually be okay if they can't defeat Zoom this season.
Oh yeah. I
I
mean,
think
yeah,
it would be. I mean, granted, I don't think that's the way the show's going to go because I know in Arrow they have a new villain each season, and
yeah.
it would make sense. A lot of shows do that, and
Right.
I don't want to see one villain take over 3 or 4 seasons or anything and be like, okay, you can
Yeah.
kill him now. That's okay. We're not that attached to him. But I think it would kind of make Zoom even more terrifying if he's not something they can just wrap up in one season.
Just like one thing I remember off the top of my head, I think this actual next episode, I think Zoom's gonna be involved, but I think it's gonna be like the Mirror Master that's actually gonna be the villain for this episode, if I remember
Okay,
right.
I know it's
Electro.
I have it written down here. The next episode I believe is Potential Energy, and that's airing January 19th. which isn't this Tuesday but next.
Right.
And then after that, we have the Reverse Flash Returns,
Right.
which I know I don't think it's going to be Eobard Thawne from Earth One because
No.
obviously that would just wouldn't make any sense
It,
because they erased
it
him from time.
it could be plausible if Barry went back, if they give a reason for Barry to go back in time to that point, and somehow something changes where Eddie doesn't kill himself, so you know the Reverse Flash would actually live on and all that. But I think that would just mess up so much stuff
Yeah,
that I
that
don't think.
that would that would probably mess up even the holes into Earth Two, and maybe
Right.
it would stop soon, but I think it would just cause even more destruction as time itself just starts collapsing on
Right.
itself.
That's
My thought is actually it's going to be maybe Earth Two or even Earth Three.
I was
Reverse
thinking Earth
Flash.
3 too because we got Earth 2 really has Zoom, and I don't think he would really allow to have another
Right.
speedster there,
That's one thing they
especially being
talked about.
evil. So
Yeah.
I think like the Reverse Flash is definitely going to be. It's going to appear to be like he's back, and it was the original one. But I think he's going to be like Earth 3, and it's still done by Zoom to try to either get kill Barry or get Barry faster.
Right. Uh, and then speaking of Earth Two and everything, is I know Killer Frost is one thing you wanted to talk about,
Yes.
but is there anything else Earth Two related, whether it's cameos, storylines? I know I really thought it would be fun with the whole idea of Arrow and Flash being in the same universe. They have crossover episodes. I think it would be fun to see Robert Queen come in, maybe get like Zoom to coerce him to throw him at Flash, only to have Arrow come and help him and kind of have to fight his dad. And I just think that would be kind of a fun, like, Dad, you're alive?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're dead. No, 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 you died. And then kind of, I don't know.
Yeah. I think that would be great. I think you could definitely do that. I think I have to be with you on the Robert Quinn coming through there, going over there, and like you see like a cameo that wise, or even just maybe give us a glimpse of what Robert Quinn as Arrow would look like.
Right.
So I mean that would just tie into the story, and that's why we're seeing it. I believe there's like plenty of rooms for cameos or even plot lines for it, but I don't think I think this is just going to be this season maybe, and then end with it, and like the third season go into a completely new storyline. I think that's just like how they're going with it.
Right.
But like watching like the trailers and that for the upcoming episode, I think definitely what they're going to be doing is like I think Harrison Wells says don't get too overwhelmed with what you're going to see in that. I think they're going into either Earth 2, like they're going into like the portal, and they're going into either Earth 2 or they're going into like one of the other Earths, and that's why we get our glimpse of Killer Frost. And like that's like another thing I thought. I'm like, could there be like a time change and something? He went back in time and he changed something, and that's why Caitlin Snow, who once was good and on Barry's side, has now turned evil and is Killer Frost. But that's when the idea came to me. Like, what if it's Earth twos, Earth threes, or whatever Earth's version of Caitlin that's actually turned into Killer Frost, and she is indeed
Right.
evil.
Yeah. And I know in the comics, that was one thing I looked up when we mentioned it, with the whole when they flashed everything and gave us kind of the glimpses. In the
Right.
comics, I know Caitlin Snow, or at least at the time I read the article or Wikipedia page, whatever it was, she wasn't evil. She was working at Star Labs at a like Alaskan or Antarctic area, only to be, you know, transformed into Killer Frost, and so she went back in search of Ronnie Raymond and Firestorm because of like one encounter they had, or her thoughts was, I'm essentially sucking heat and he's the epitome of eternal heat and constant energy, so maybe that we could kind of, you know, kind of balance each other out. I could keep him from exploding and going nuclear, and he could keep me
Right.
from killing others. And at the time I read the article, it mentioned one or two other encounters she had, and it was always with heat-based villains that she just killed. And so she wasn't doing anything evil. She was actually defeating villains and trying to keep
Right.
herself from dying.
Right.
So whether they'll kind of focus on that, or if it's something, I believe I read an article too that they don't want to tackle Caitlin Snow this season. Not that they won't maybe make mention to it and kind of give us foreshadows for next season, but I definitely think if they do wrap up Earth 2 in the whole Zoom arc this season, that'll be something they can tackle season 3 and kind of have a fresh
Right.
start.
I think that could also be like if Caitlyn goes into the the alternate Earths and she sees herself like a version of herself being evil, like could that take effect on her and that start something when she gets back to her Earth? Like could that start something where she turns like starts the process somehow?
Right.
Or
Yeah. Or even the idea of being so afraid of becoming that,
right,
it
right.
changes her so much that it just
It just
continues the
happens.
stream and happens
Yeah,
anyway. Yeah.
right. That's definitely a thing. But also like we have not been seeing that much of Jay Garrick that much whatsoever
Yeah, he's
now.
definitely been out of the picture. I know I kind of think with the whole Wally West, if I believe I think it was you who told me in the comics he got his powers by recreating what happened to Barry.
Right.
So I thought it would be interesting if maybe he helps start up the uh, accelerator and everything again to maybe help Jay Garrett get his powers back, and in
Right.
return, maybe both of them get powers.
I would definitely see like it being an accident why Wally gets his powers. Like it wasn't never meant to happen that way, and that's would also like what Barry would take him up, be like, okay, I'm going to show you how to be like to be a speedster and do it.
Yeah,
So I think, but like with CW's version of like how Barry gets his powers, just like the particle accelerators. So like Wally West being able to like recreate that, I would highly doubt it on his own means because like in the comics, it was just as simple as taking like the same chemicals and getting lightning to strike it, strike the chemicals and you. He recreated what happened, and he was a speedster then. But I don't think it's that simple now with the accelerator.
right. Especially with the particle accelerator really spreading the whole idea of metahumans in Central City.
Right.
So,
Well, I mean, that could be as simple as like Zoom doing something like that with Earth One, like putting the accelerator back on, or even taking Earth Two particle accelerator and doing something with it to be evil or something like that. I don't know.
yeah,
Or I mean, it could be they can do something completely original and new into how Wally West gets his powers.
true, true. The writers have definitely, I think, wanted to tackle and do new things and show that it doesn't always have to be like the comics, that we can make these characters in different ways and show them in
Uh,
different ways and still have fun and give
yeah,
you
yeah.
good entertainment. Uh,
And yeah, so even though it's new and different, it's not going straight from the comics. It's still good, and
right,
it's very cool doing that. Right.
right. Uh, I think that's really all I had to talk about. Is there
Yeah.
anything else, Selena, your last thoughts on either Arrow or Flash?
I think that's about it for today.
Alrighty.
Honestly.
Well, Arrow returns January 18th, or I'm sorry, January 20th, and Flash returns January 19th on the CW. Uh, Thanks for joining us, guys. This is
Yeah.
Casey and Lazarus talking nerdy. Please like, subscribe, give us comments. Tell us what your thoughts about Arrow and Flash are.
And
Whether
your theories too.
right theories, anything. Whether
Yeah.
it's what we've talked about or if it's completely related. Maybe you want to see us talk about it and you want to ask us questions, our thoughts. Please do that. We'll be more. I want to talk to people. I want to kind of build a community where just nerds of any type can talk about this. Maybe you're watching this or you're checking out my channel and you're not really a big fan of comic books. I want to talk about anything and everything nerdy. Another episode I want to try and do with Lazarus and a couple, maybe one or two other friends of mine, is my favorite animated series right now, Steven Universe. It's fantastic. I know I'm trying to watch Adventure Time too, and so maybe we can talk about that because I know that's getting crazy right now
Oh yeah.
with all of their like just plot points and everything. But that'll all be on another day. Another thing, I have all kinds of stuff I want to do with the channel. I'll try and upload a couple videos on just ideas and whatnot of what I want to do. So if you guys have any ideas, you want to see me play a game or talk about something, just comment, send me a message, do whatever, and let's build something that anyone and everyone can enjoy. Otherwise, you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching.